Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today, we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 311, Going Home. This episode aired on December 15th. It was written by our showrunners, Eddie Kitsis and Adam Horowitz, and was directed by Ralph Hemmicker. Now, before we get into our recapping and chatting, let's go into a synopsis for our mid-season finale. In the past. Over the course of 5 short vignettes, we get to see snippets of our heroes' pasts. In Neverland, we see Killian encounter Tinkerbell for the first time, and admit that the only things he's willing to die for are love and revenge. In the Enchanted Forest, we see Snow and Charming talk with the Blue Fairy and learn more about their daughter's fate, that their story will be shown to her, and they must have faith that all will work as it's supposed to. Meanwhile, Rumpel has a brief heart-to-heart with Belle on Balefire's birthday, about how he should be with his son, but he's not. And in our world, after being given a family tree assignment for school, Henry's starting to feel lost and notice that everyone's lives are the same but his. Mary Margaret gives him a storybook she found in her closet for the first time, hoping that this book appearing is proof that life can change when we least expect it, and unwittingly puts him on the path to finding his biological mother. Lastly, we see the same scene from the premiere of this season, of Emma giving birth to Henry, but this time with a different ending. And in Storybrooke today, now that Pan has been able to enact his curse by using Felix's heart, the clock is ticking and the heroes need to reverse this curse. Rumpel is able to switch their bodies back, and Henry can give them the scroll to do what needs to be done. After Pan threatens to kill everyone rather than trap them, Rumpel realizes how he can stop Pan once and for all. By using his shadow and the dagger, he's able to kill Pan, unfortunately killing himself in the process. Regina knows what needs to be done to stop Pan's curse. It means reversing the curse she enacted to get them all to this land, making it so the curse never happened, and whisking them all to the Enchanted Forest, except for Emma and Henry. Regina has to give up the thing she loves most once again to ensure everyone's safety. Just before Emma and Henry leave, Regina writes them new memories of a happy life together, one where Emma never gave him up, and they were always together. They drive over the town line just before the curse cloud consumes them all and takes them away. And 1 year later, now living in New York with Henry, Emma hears a knock at her door, and Killian is on the other side, telling her of her family that need her help. When he tries to free her memories with true love's kiss, Emma, not remembering the pirate, gives him a much-deserved knee to the groin and shuts the door in his face. That was a synopsis.
That was an episode.
Because with the vignettes, there's it's the usual thing of I can't leave anything out because they're designed. The flashbacks are designed as 5 short vignettes. I have to talk about all of them. I wrote them down in my notes, vignette. That way I didn't forget vignette 1, vignette 2, 3.
Just this whole God. This is very much edge of your seat. Oh my God, there's so much happening. I didn't even take that many notes because I was so focused on everything that was happening, and I'm just sitting here just holy shit, this is actually some good writing. What the fuck? Because we've had those moments you're who wrote this?
Yeah. Well, again, when it comes to overarching plot points, I will say this. When it comes to overarching plot points, that we can blame on the writers as a collective because, and as we know, based off of some of the commentary, that they do work out the big story beats and how things are going to progress. They work on that together as a big group, and then the scripts get spread out. So when things make no sense, I'll go on my rant later about how we have no context for Pan, that I can blame on everyone as a collective.
Yeah, because him just spitting out, I never loved Rumpel. I'm just God damn.
Yeah.
That was your child. No love whatsoever. Of course, and then of course later on, I wrote down so this is back on so that was when he was still in Henry, and then later on, I'm just Pan's entire monologue to the point that he's comparing his child to a larvae.
Mm-hmm.
I was I'm very, very confused as to why anyone likes this character because holy shit.
Yeah, that I can only blame on people simp after Robbie K, and whether that was age appropriate or the time or not is not the issue. It is an issue, but not the issue. With that, I can say I have more context for where Malcolm's resentment of, I'm going to use Malcolm specifically, where Malcolm's resentment for Rumpel comes from.
Okay.
Because there is flashback That is yet to be seen. It's Malcolm, not Pan. That's why I say after season 5, you don't see Pan again. This is from season 6. But there is a flashback that does involve Malcolm and Rumple's mother.
Oh, okay.
So I have a lot of context where the resentment part makes sense. All of the pure evilness, not so much.
Because, like, I understand from the aspect of, or from the point of view of, you do truly lose so much of the life you were living before you have children, because your life truly changes 100% once you've had kids. And that's why we have all those situations in real life of people being just really shitty parents because they refuse to give up the life that they had before. We know people like this exist. No one likes them. Whenever you see those stories in the news, you're just like, oh, that's a shitty parent. Like, they need to get the worst punishment ever.
Yeah.
So just seeing that, I get it. I get people like, oh, it's evil Peter Pan. But this monologue alone, I'm just like, nope. Any redeeming quality, anything that makes you go, oh, yay, evil. Like, I like the evil character. When you're this evil because of a child, because I know at this point Rumple isn't a child, but I get you say there's context. But if it's because of a child, no, fuck you. I don't care. No, personally.
You are 100% correct in how you're feeling. This is what I wrote down about this rant, and then I expanded on it. That I won't say everything I expanded on because some of it is spoilers. But I said Pan's evilness makes no sense. We see no context for his resentment in season 3. We see no context for his power hungriness outside of your run-of-the-mill live young forever, get power, pretty much.
Yeah.
His vindictiveness and his penchant for making Rumple's life a personal living hell makes no sense because we got none of his story in this arc's flashbacks, other than him being Malcolm and the Pied Piper plotline, basically. Like, when it comes to Zelina in the next half of the season, we get context for her. Not only context for, like, what she's doing in the main storyline, but, like, what led up to even flashback stuff. Like, we have, like, 2 layers of flashbacks for her. Similarly with the Snow Queen in season 4, we're going to see multiple, like, we're missing a little bit of context for her storyline, but we get enough of it that it makes sense.
Okay.
Like, Pan is just evil and annoying, and he's very much he's a departure from what once is usually really good at, which is not just writing sympathetic villains, because in this case I don't personally find him very sympathetic. I don't think a lot of people do, but at the very least partially justified villains.
Yeah.
And Pan is neither, because I think I said this last time we saw King George, like that, like in a realm of a lot of really well-rounded villains, he falls very flat. However, we still get the justification for his anger in the show. We at least see where he's coming from. With Pan, we get none of that. We don't know where we barely know where he's coming from, other than I wanted to be young and live free and I had a kid. That's not really something, I mean, it is a justification. It's not a very good one, but you know, it is what it is.
Because, like, once you reach that level of adulthood too, like, he was at least in his 40s by the look of him. So 30s, 40s. I'm 30. By the time this comes out, I'll be about to turn 31. Yep. And, like, there's something for myself, and I know with my husband as well, it just kind of clicks where you're just like, this is my new life. I'm going to, and you love your children because you made them. And it's like, that's why it's so hard for me to understand being evil for this reason.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to be like, I'm a good parent. I think I'm a pretty good parent. I try my best. I love my kids. But seeing someone be evil because of a child is just infuriating, actually.
Yeah.
And it just makes me hate Pan even more than I already did.
Which, like, I'm sorry that's what happened here, because I know how much you love Peter Pan as a story. Oh, yeah,
the original story I love.
But
it was a very comforting story as a child for me.
Like we've been saying this entire arc, these last 11 episodes of the podcast, and this one included, might be hard if you really like Pan. And, like, again,
but it's over. I won't have to be mad about it anymore.
Exactly. Going forward, you just get to look at the attractive British lady.
Oh, yay.
She hasn't come in until the very last scene of the next episode, but still, like,
I don't care. Gimme.
After we're only 2, or like more like a week and a half, depending on when you watch episodes or whatever. But we're 2 weeks away from getting to hear me talk in a British accent for an hour.
The Blue Fairy. I have at the beginning, I'm like, how does she know all this? She's spitting out all this information. And I'm like, Blue, how the fuck do you know this? And then, like, of course, near the end, I'm like, oh, Blue wanted to say all that shit about Tinkerbell, but is holding on to the evil wand. Blue, what the fuck? I got beef.
All I'm saying is it would have made so much sense if Blue was the Black Fairy in disguise. Like, even with what I know of what happens on the show, that would have made so much fucking sense, given, like, that almost feels like that's what they were intending, and then they just changed their minds. Like, that really does, that's how it feels.
But why change your mind? Like, she has so much information.
She does. Well, because it makes me wonder, because she knows, it's like she has a similar sense of the future, similar to the Dark One, and like he's got pieces, because she says in that first flashback that, that their story will be shown to their daughter, and they're like, what does that mean? She's like, the future it's hard to say, kind of thing. Like, she's getting those like bits and pieces. So like, does she have powers of foresight? That's never discussed.
Is she like snooping on Regina and Rumple in their conversations? Like,
I don't know. She's just omnipresent, and it freaks out the other characters also. Like, the time that they needed her in Selfless, Brave, and True, like, she just pops up out of nowhere. Like, Jennifer Goodwin even looks surprised. Like, where did you come from?
How is this happening? Onto a happier note. Yes. I just wrote, excuse me, while I enjoy this Hook and Tinkerbell scene far more than I probably should. I almost paused it.
It was good. And I did like the staging of it, though, that they had Rose step up like on a rock or something. That way she was like actually at his island, because as we are all aware, she's very tiny.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I love Rose. That's my problem. I love Rose.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Hook so much too. Like, I love both of them as people as well as these characters. Yeah. And so I had a moment.
I'm aware. I just want to mitigate your expectations.
I know.
Just so she is only in this season, and then she's in one episode of season 6.
That's okay. I have all of the zombie show I can watch over and over again, and I'm on season 3 of Ghosts.
Yes, you are. You're very close to being caught up.
I can't stop. It's addictive. Like, it's so good.
You're going to be caught up by the next episode, and it's on Thursday.
I know. I can't stop.
It's the Halloween episode on Halloween.
I am so getting caught up. Oh my God. So I can watch that. But it's really just so good. And I am in the season where she's pregnant in real life. And I have one of those like really fun things. I love when they do that with pregnancies and shows where they just try to hide it. Because then I do the whole like Leonardo DiCaprio point the whole time, like, I see what you're doing there. I can't help it. It's just so much fun. We'll have to talk about that show probably at the end of, I guess, season 4, because it's just so good just to talk about it and how good it is.
Yeah, we'll probably do a special when it's over.
It's going to get more seasons, right?
No, I'm saying when season 4 is over, not when the show is over.
I got scared for a second. It's too good to end.
It's too early in the season to know if they'll get picked up for season 5, but given the popularity that I've perceived,
true.
I think it's fine.
And then I did write, I'm like, if Tinkerbell doesn't get her wings back, I'm going to be pissed. And only for her to immediately get her, Blue be like, I was wrong. Also, Blue popping up as fast as she did after the shadow. I was like, dude, no, give us she's just there.
But her getting her shadow back like that, does that mean that Greg Mendel is alive and just stuck on Neverland forever now?
Oh, I hope so.
Because also, and that means a lot of people, if their bodies are still alive and kicking, their shadows got returned to their bodies, because there were a bunch of shadows in Dark Hollow. So that means that there are just either shadows flying around, or they've reanimated their corpses and they're stuck on Neverland forever.
So don't go back to Neverland.
Nope, never.
Never. Where the fuck did the storybook come from?
That is always very ambiguous, but it is a case of the book is there's a certain fate and magical aspect to it. The book showed up when it needed to.
Oh God, and just everything with Regina, this whole episode,
Lana deserved all the awards for this episode.
I cried like a baby.
And I kept saying I didn't know if I was gonna cry because of the pausing and everything. But at one point I told myself I wanted to write down a couple lines. I just copied them from the transcript rather than pausing. So I'm like, I'm not gonna do this to myself, make myself watch this 15 times. No. I just copied the lines I wanted from the transcript and then just watched the scene and then just sobbed for 5 minutes.
I mean, I had moments of just okay, he's so not going to cut off his hand because so much is happening. My notes are so jumbled because so much is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm just literally all caps, what the fuck just happened? because it's one thing after another, and then it just keeps happening. And like the whole thing of like Rumple telling Bay how much he loves him, and he goes, "Okay, I have to die now."
Yep.
Robert Carlyle, like once again, like him and Lana, please, can y'all? They deserve everything because
they do.
Phenomenal job.
Mm-hmm.
I cried like a baby. I did write at one point, "Damn you, Lauren, for getting me invested in this show." and then just my lovely surprise and happy when I go, "It's Hook!" at the end. Because that's who I am.
Yeah, he makes the most sense for going to, wake her up. So the next episode is called New York City Serenade. I think that should tell you what's going to happen more or less. And like, this is also one of the cases of like stakes, not that they get ruined, but when you think about the way shows work and you think about the way story structure works at our age, like clearly memories are going to come back, adventures are going to continue. Like this isn't the end of it. But like I wrote down where I started crying towards the end just so I could keep track of when that was. I started crying as soon as Snow and Charming started talking, basically, and telling as soon as they started telling Emma that she has to go with Henry, and like happy endings aren't what they're meant to be. There was a little bit of a lull, and then the tears came back up again with Regina's line of, "I've known you for some time, and all I've wanted was for you to get the hell out of my life so I can be with my son," which is a great line, and I definitely have worked that into like wedding vows in different fanfics that I read because it works for Swan Queen wedding vows, quite frankly. And then, again, a little bit of a lull, and then the tears came back with, "You're not a villain, you're my mom."
Oh God, that broke me. I'm gonna start crying again.
That one. And then lastly, she didn't even start talking, and I started crying. But it was when Regina took Emma's hand before she said, "My gift to you is good memories, a good life for you and Henry. You'll have never given him up, and you'll have always been together."
You make me tear up again. I'm not kidding.
I'm crying
I'm tearing up right now. Like, because that whole, I'm tearing up. Fuck, I'm wearing makeup.
Sorry, but like that really, like, it's beautiful writing. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful performance. And I mean, I'll go through the rest of my notes later, but since we're on this topic, I'll go to the bottom. Oh, I'm so sorry. You're like legit crying. Oh my God.
I love Regina so much. And
She's
like, as a
good.
mom, it's like, I watched this woman give up her son. And that's really personal for me.
Yeah, no, it is.
I have kids, and I can never imagine having, like, she had the strength to do that, and for good reason, but at the same time, like, my babies, like, no, it's painful.
And it's even more heartbreaking at the fact of she's doing it more or less in, like, right as he's welcomed her back as his mother again. She just got him back.
Man, you fucking broke me with this damn show, man.
Sorry. Like, not that sorry. No, truthfully, when I watched this the first time, because I've been watching this, I mean, I skipped this episode because it makes me cry. Like, I know what happens. So I'm like, I don't need to make myself cry. That's fine. But when I watched it for the first time, when it aired 9 years ago, at the time I was a freshman in college, and I would call my mom, every Sunday after I was watching after Once Upon a Time. That was like 9:00 was like when I called her during the week. And I was crying, and I didn't call her. And so she called me. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "The TV show made me cry." She's like, "Okay." It's just, "You're fine." But no, I am fine. I'm just sad. But like, I have watched this a number of times in the last 9 years, and it still makes me cry just as hard as it did the first time. And I told you yesterday, and I'll give this for our lovely viewers, I therapized myself enough that I think I figured out why. It's myself and analysis as well. So at the time, something happening, tearing Emma and Henry away to ride off into the sunset, was how I kind of figured the show was going to end at that time. That felt like a way to end the series.
Yeah.
But like, especially this episode, it's beautiful writing, it's heartbreaking performances, and it feels like a fairly significant ending. And to be fair, it feels like one because it kind of is. Because if we remember, what I said at the very beginning of this season was there was an impending writer strike that ended up not happening. But there was an impending writer strike, and that's, I think, why they configured the season the way that they did. In the event they couldn't come back into the writer's room to finish things, they wanted to make sure they had an arc written, ready to go. So in the event that this was a season finale, they could keep this as it was, and we'd come back in season 4 with that tag at the end. However, if you leave that tag at the end of 1 year later, if you leave that off the episode, and it's just them driving across town, and the last thing you see is Regina seeing them drive away over her shoulder.
Yeah.
While heartbreaking, that could be the end of the series.
Which is, no, thank you.
So, I mean, I'm glad it's not. I'm glad we got another 4.5 seasons. But like, still, that's why it's so heartbreaking and why it hurts as much as I think for me the series finale, because it feels like one. It's probably the only half season arc that feels like a series finale.
And like, to give us all that bullshit and then do that to us.
Right?
Like, you made me suffer through that and then made me cry. Like
luckily,
I'll never forgive the writers.
No, I know. But luckily it wasn't the end. Luckily, we get Zelina, we get the rest of the lovely chaos. We have 7 seasons of show to work with. So it all ended up fine, but I think that's why it hurts so much to watch, is because it feels like it could be a series finale. So man. I have some fun facts for you.
Oh boy.
Some fun facts. There was actually another vignette that we did not get to see. There was a deleted scene. And I don't very often bring up the deleted scenes, but this is one that I think is kind of important, and actually one where I almost argue you could have swapped this with a different vignette, in my opinion.
Not the Hook and Tinkerbell. That stays.
No, not Hook and Tinkerbell. The flashback that was removed was Regina's.
Excuse me?
Her flashback was the night before Regina is meant to move to King Leopold's palace with her mother and father. She's inconsolable with grief, still mourning Daniel's death. Her father tries to comfort her by telling her every girl's dream of being queen. Her dream, she says, was love. Henry comments that Regina could learn to love Leopold and Snow White, and at the mention of Snow's name, Regina hardens and says she will never love again and no one will ever love her. And she's like holding like Daniel's ring the entire time. I'm gonna read what I wrote down, so I'm a little more civil than the way I want to be. I was gonna make the argument that Regina's vignette makes sense to be taken out, but honestly, after I watched it again, it fits about as much, if not more, than Rumple's. Like, I get that things are cut for time. His was definitely shorter than hers, but Regina's flashback fits the context of her journey to finding love with her son, and far more than any context we get out of Rumple happening to be caught remembering Balefire's birthday once.
Yeah, honestly.
So that's going to stop my rant there. But so
no, I have to agree with you, because seeing Belle and actual Rumple together, not, Robert Carlyle, always makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, that's
so
fair.
There's that.
But yeah.
But I would have preferred to have seen that than Rumple's bit. But I guess with him killing himself too, and then telling us son he loved him, that's why they kept it in.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get why they kept it in. And it's also shorter. So for time, it probably fit better, because Regina's was probably a good minute and a half, I would say, maybe 2 minutes. So that's a good chunk of time. But this is definitely a personal bias, but I think her vignette should have been left in and another one should have been taken out. That's just my stance here.
No, that's fair. I mean, they could have cut also like a little bit of like Henry and Emma living together. We didn't need all of that.
The whole montage, or honestly, even we didn't even need to see the original version of the birth scene.
Mm-mm.
I think we could have just had the flashback and with the new ending. And then we would have had time for it.
Her literally just setting the plates down.
Yeah.
Not the talking, the cooking, the watering the plants. They could have cut that.
There are some things that connect there, which is actually are my fun fact, so I'm going to mention a little bit of that. But actually, fun fact, their apartment number is the same as the episode. They live in apartment 311.
All right.
In the flashback with Emma's nursery, there's a Bambi plush toy.
Oh, that's cute.
That's very cute. 8:15 again rears its head, which I get the reference why they have her waking up at 8:15, but for a weekday, for a child who's in middle school or elementary school, that's a little late to be getting ready for your day. Just saying.
Kid would already be on the way to school in most places.
Yeah, exactly, especially in New York. But this is the main connection thing. The song that's playing on the radio or playing through their stereo, that song is Charlie's Girl by Lou Reed, which is the same song we heard coming from Neal's iPod in the cold open of the season 2 premiere.
Oh.
That's why we need the radio.
I mean, they could still do the radio, like her turning it off, though. Like that would still, you could still have enough of it playing with the setting of the plates down.
Mm-hmm.
But they did so much in that I'm like, we could have cut this just a little bit. And
it's just I think the idea is just to show they have a normal life. They're doing their morning chores and doing everything to get ready and all that. Like I get why they included so much montage stuff, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Lastly, I have 2 more, but one of them is just about the symbols that were in Rumple's book, and I don't really care about those anymore.
Fair.
There are a lot of like alchemical and transmutation symbols that I happened to copy in case I found nothing else to talk about. I turned out I had plenty.
Oh,
The
yeah,
last one...
we've been talking for 25 minutes.
We got plenty. We haven't even really gotten
to
my notes yet.
I didn't realize how long we've been talking.
Yeah, we haven't even really gotten to my notes yet, other than my therapizing of the end of the episode. But there is one more fun fact that is a continuity error, which is it's small and could have been fixed by just changing one frame. When Mary Margaret gives Henry the storybook, so figure this is all meant to be set right before the pilot, basically.
Yeah.
So this is set October 2011. When he opens it, he sees a picture of Geppetto, Jiminy Cricket, and Pinocchio right before the Blue Fairy's arrival in the season 1 episode, The Stranger. However, as we saw in season 1, in the episodes What Happened to Frederick and The Stranger, the story of Pinocchio being sent to the land without magic, along with Emma, was not in the book originally. August added it. August added the story. I got there.
He did.
And also, in an episode in season 4, when they're going through the storybook again, Regina is going to notice that the paper is different, and they're going to make mention that he added the story. So that really is a case of, it's a continuity error that really could have been changed or fixed if they had just used any other picture, had him open to any other page.
Any of them. Hansel and Gretel could have been on one of them.
Because that's one that I couldn't tell, because that one might be a practical page, because some of them are. But if it was a green screen, like, added picture that they added later, that is just, either they picked at random, or someone just wasn't paying attention.
You need, like, a timeline person. Like, just someone in charge of timeline on shows.
Apparently that was Andrew Chambliss, according to our commentary from 302. He apparently was, like, big into making sure things made sense for the timeline. But no one consulted him. No one consulted him, apparently.
Uh-oh.
Oops. So yeah, this one, like I said before, this one makes me cry all the time. But not just because of what happens in the end, but because of inconsistencies. Because
oh my god,
because of inconsistencies. Because the vignette with Hook and Tink, well, I love it, makes no fucking sense.
No, but I love it.
No, but it makes no sense, because if Tink is there, that means that that vignette is set after Quite a Common Fairy, which is very close to the curse. It's hundreds of years after Balefire left the Enchanted Forest. How long was he on that ship? Because their conversation's making it seem like he just got there, and Tink's been there for a while, and this one makes no sense in the timeline. It cannot fit unless he's been on that ship for hundreds of years.
That's okay. Don't care.
Don't care.
Keep it. Nope. It's there. I'm keeping it forever.
Unless Neverland is some kind of time wormhole situation where it matters not when you actually enter it. Like, I'm trying to make it work and it just doesn't.
I mean, time does pause there.
It does, but that's still, the time outside of it should still make sense.
Don't take this from me.
I'm just I'm not taking anything. I'm not saying it shouldn't be there. To be fair, I never said that it should be taken out of the episode entirely. I'm just saying Rumpel should be taken out. It's staying in the... I'm all for Hooker Tink. Or no, Tink. What was... That's not what it's called. That's not what it's called.
I'll take Hooker Tink. I'm okay Hooker with Tink. That.
No. Oh, what was that one called? Was it Tinker Hook?
I like Hooker Tink.
I mean, nothing is ever... They're never Hooker.
Okay, but Hooker is so much funnier.
All right, to the world of shipping wikis.
I will, woo, you hoogle. I will hold on to that scene with every bit of my strength that I can, because I almost paused it. Like, I'm not kidding. I was just like, whoo, okay. It's the whole, like, the meme, like, the GIF, whatever, crying and bisexual.
Yeah.
Crying and bisexual. I did cry. So it all works.
No, it's Tinker Hook, not Hooker Tink. I had them flipped. But I'm now seeing a bunch of other ships that are on here, and I'm like, not that this has ever been a factor beforehand for me ever, but there are some on here where this is for straight ships, which is why I'm, like, confused. They've never met in canon, these characters that I'm seeing being shipped here. And, like,
wait, what's Hook and Charming?
Captain Charming.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that one's easy. But yeah, I'm seeing some that do not make... I don't...
Help me here. I need context.
Well, because one of them is Zelina, who's the Wicked Witch of the West, who you'll meet soon, and Jefferson, who is never on the show after season 2. So, like...
That's a choice. They just want Sebastian Stan and a pretty woman.
Yeah. basically. There's one that's Pinocchio and a character you haven't met yet that doesn't make any sense either.
That's a child.
But like I think they mean it as August. It's just the website just says Pinocchio.
No. August is adult.
Yeah, August is sorry.
Pinocchio's a child.
August is the adult. So sorry. I'll be more particular. I'm looking at the straight ships right now. This website is very, very useful.
Okay, remember, it's straight people.
No, I know, but Red and Jefferson, really? Like, I'm not ship shaming people because I ship the weirdest shit. Like, I'm not kidding.
I mean,
I'm so excited for you to meet Zelina because you've said some things about characters that she may be shipped with that I cannot wait to remind you that you've said this. Because the justification for why they don't exist is the bet. I can't wait for your response.
I got a little bit sad when I saw Granny sniffing out Henry. Because Red.
Well, so she does come back. Megan Ori is in one episode in the latter half of season 3. But I think we're in the current period where she was working on the CBS show, so like she couldn't come back as often as they needed her. So there's that.
It just made me like slightly sad because usually it's Red.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just some of these ships are wild, man.
I can't wait to see these, but I'm not allowed to.
But none of
just no way.
Like none of them are canon. Oh God, Golden Snow. Oh God. Again, not ship shaming.
That means something else.
Not ship shaming here.
But that means something else. My brain goes to one thing in particular that no one would want.
No, don't eat the yellow snow. I'm well aware of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's golden and all of the golden ships. They just so
no, thank you.
I'll get back my notes in a second, but this name is just getting me Grand Pedo. That's such a good name too.
I love that you're just now discovering me.
Well, this will shock no one. I never look at the heterosexual list of ship names. I never need to.
I'm glad you are now.
Never need to.
As a bisexual, I can understand Red and Jefferson, though.
I understand, and to be fair, do they look hot next to each other is basically all I've ever needed. Like, truthfully, I've written ships. I've been doing Kinktober fanfics, which I'm behind. I think I have to get caught up. But like, I've got a few in there that I don't think that the characters ever met in canon.
That's okay.
Works in my brain. The tags already exist.
I'm still trying to get over Mulan and Aurora. Okay, so it hurts.
I know.
It's painful.
So back to the episode. Normally we have to do this for the Bobs ones, not the Once Upon a Time ones. So the magic cuff that's going to cut off magical powers, it'll kind of just become a Deus Ex Machina going forward. And the fact that Pan made the cuff is going to basically just be a thing that is forgotten. It's just going to kind of be used as a magic cutting off cuff going forward when needed.
Okay.
So, like, just forget its connection to Pan at all.
Okay.
Because, like, it going forward, the way they use it, it feels more magical than technological. And to be fair, it probably is more magical than technological. Greg and Tamara are just idiots. So. But I did love in the flashback, because I think I wrote down with the flashback for Mary Margaret and Henry. It's a shame they didn't do it sooner, because Jared at 13 doesn't really match Henry at 10. Just saying. But I like that the book appears when it's needed. It's a fate thing. Sometimes this just happens. Yeah. And we'll get a little more context for the magic that is the book in season 4. But much like Blue said in the first flashback, the story will be shown to her, and this is how it's shown to her. It gets through everybody else. But I did love that, the way she ends talking to him kind of, harkens back to the pilot with, what do you think stories are for? There's a reason we all know them. Believing in even the possibility of a happy ending is a very powerful thing. And I just love that line.
Which is interesting.
I just like that line.
We got to believe in a happy ending after what they gave us.
There will be a happy ending soon. So while they were all frozen on the street, I pointed out a few times because it almost felt like Lana forgot that she was in frame. Because I just wrote down, Lana, honey, I know it's second nature, but if you're frozen, your eyes shouldn't be tracking Pan's movements. Because you could see her kind of watching him first when he goes towards Balefire. And then the second time, Lana, honey, you're in frame. Frozen people don't blink. And because I know it's windy. I know it's windy. It's kind of,
her hair kept like blowing into her face.
Yeah, like the hair, everything's going to keep moving. But I'm like, you got to try a little harder. Just like let your eyes kind of glaze over and not focus a little bit. And just
focal point. You find a focal point and you can keep your eyes open for so long.
the whole concept of having to rewrite the curse and make it so the town never existed, I find that to be a very smart way to get out of this. Again, with my concept of this feels like it could be a series finale. It's dramatic enough to be a series finale, and it's heartbreaking, especially for what it means for Regina. But like, this is not a choice that I disagree with. Like, there's a lot of stuff on this show that I'm like, I think we had other options here. This is kind of your only option. Like, he's even in his death, the unstoppable curse is not unstoppable. So, but you did ask me, was it yesterday, how the killing part worked?
Yeah, that was weird. Like, Rumple can't be dead. Like,
I plead the fifth.
Can he?
Excellent question. What is it that I said I was going to start saying when if you want straight answers, ask a straight lady. That's my new mantra.
Wait till I get to that episode that explains it to me.
Yeah, basically. Because I write down, it's very visually dramatic. But the only way for us to die is if we both die. This is what I've made sense of it. Everyone's interpretation is different because the show gives us not a lot of information. I mean, to be fair, he does stab him. Stabbing people does in fact usually kill them. So there is that aspect of it. But he doesn't have a shadow, and my guess is he needed a shadow to die. And since Rumple's shadow was free, and we saw it go through Rumple's back. My analysis of this is the shadow was kind of split between the two of them, so he could kind of be turned mortal again. And since he's got a Dark One shadow soul in him, Dark One can only be killed with the dagger, and Rumple is doing the stabbing with the dagger, and this creates kind of a loop of the Dark One killing themselves. So therefore, there is no new Dark One. Everyone's dead. End of Dark One. Kind of.
I'm just going to wait till they tell me what's going on before I try to understand any of it.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this. Korra's concept of dying without the dagger, like all that power will boil off into the air kind of thing, time and time again just proves that she didn't understand how the Dark One works.
Okay.
Because there are cases where, the darkness when the Dark One isn't home, how that all works.
Okay.
If the body dies before the darkness can find a new host, basically.
Interesting.
We'll see that end of season 4, beginning of season 5.
That's too far away.
But with this Rumple situation, that's what Quiet Minds. So that's got to be 3:15.
Okay, I don't have too long.
No, that's before the midway of the next arc. So shall we do some stats and then I can do some more behind the scenesy things and a few more rants?
Okay.
What'd you give it?
So plot and character, I both gave 8.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty solid. Good plot, but also destroyed me. Personal, I gave 10.
Okay.
I enjoyed this, which is hard to say.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to consolidate. I enjoyed it, but it made me cry.
Yeah. So it's a 26.
Okay.
But I'm still processing the trauma.
Yeah, no, that's fair. If it makes you feel any better, like I said, at the end of the next episode, you get Zelina, and then in 2 weeks of recording, you get me talking in a British accent for an hour. So there's that. I gave plot an 8 because again, it's great plot. Of our vignettes, our flashback was no plot; it was more character context. But this is the finale of the arc. It's again could have been a series finale. We'll never know. So it gets an 8 for plot. It gets a 9 for character because there's a lot of character growth. And Pan's dead.
Pan is dead.
Ding Dong the Witch is dead. So I'm not too unhappy about that.
Damn it, it's gonna be stuck in my head now. Ding dong.
You're gonna be doing that the entirety of the next arc.
You know what I've been doing all day today though? When you get ADHD, you get those just random things in your head. I was doing the we dip like that. Yeah.
Mine for days has been, where are my children? That accent really comes and goes, doesn't it? That's been in my head for days. So my personal score, I gave this one a 10 as well. It's solid television. Again, I hesitate to say it's enjoyable to watch, but it's because of the crying. But
it's like when I read horror books. I don't like to be like, read this horror book. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Read this, it's hard to say.
It's a very satisfying episode. That's the way I can say it. It's a very satisfying episode.
That's good.
So I'm 1 point up from you. I get a 27.
Not bad.
Not at all.
That's close.
Yeah. So I think I've said this before about other like behind the scenes stuff. So like if you go onto our script, there's a drop down that says behind the scenes shots. Because
noticed.
I was searching everywhere to find these pictures. I found I went I went as far as my old Tumblr to find these. I still didn't find the one I was looking for, but I found one that gets my point across. So there's I just like Lana with her little bonnet and her Uggs and everything, because like they wear like
she wears heels a lot.
She does, well, because I think she's about my height, and I think she wears heels to kind of get everyone to roughly the same height. Like if you look at Emily's costumes, her heels are very tall just to get her to the same height as Robert Carlyle, and he's also not the tallest man in the world. But like the one at the bottom,
she's short like me.
Yeah, like the one at the bottom, you can see with her heels how much Lana has to bend down to be like at eye level with Jared. But the one at the top, I believe, I'm not 100% certain, but I believe this is Lana cuddling for warmth with Jared on one side and Jared's mother on the other. I'm pretty sure that's his mom.
Aww.
It's like they had a good relationship. We've talked about this before. It's this close. Everyone's cuddling up for warmth because obviously kid actors need a guardian on set. And in Jared's case, I believe it was usually one of his parents. I think I've been listening to the Disney High book that talks about how the rise and fall of Disney Channel is what it is. And they do talk about how on a lot of the productions that are kid based, because there's so many kids and parents can't always be there, like the teacher is always the de facto guardian sometimes. But my understanding of this was he usually had one of his parents there, I think.
I don't like that teacher. Like, there's so many kids.
But it's a legality thing, but like, it's just with so much production going on with that, and with that case, they did what they had to do.
You couldn't be able to get me away from my kid on a production set.
No, definitely not.
Especially after Quiet on Set.
No, exactly. Well, that's what I say about I've been saying about the Disney High book is it's like that Quiet on Set docuseries, but it's less focused on who was a predator and more focused on here's how the productions worked.
Okay.
It's a little more.
There is still some who was the predator.
I mean, I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm sure there probably was, but it's less of that part. But
okay.
In this case, I'm fairly certain the other person in this photo is Jared's mom.
That's so sweet.
So I just think it's just very sweet that they had like these.
Is that a phone booth? Sorry, I haven't seen one of those in a while.
Yes, that is a phone booth. Well, we saw Regina use it in the Welcome to Storybrooke flashbacks, because this is something that the writers say a lot. I mean, it has been said about the show is like Storybrooke is definitely it's modern technology, but they definitely were always a little bit behind the times. Like everyone's cell phones are kind of outdated. Like we're gonna see Emma's first smartphone now that she's been in the real world for a year and she's on current time. Also, our 1 year time jump works really well for getting Henry a little closer to Jared in age. So like figuring there wasn't so he was 11 and then there was like a few days between then and the end of season 2, and then the beginning of season 3 is only a week. So this gets him up to about 12, where Jared is 13, about to be 14. So
it's a little bit better.
We're closing that gap a little bit. So it explains his deepening voice just ever so slightly. But like we're going to see the computer that Emma uses in the sheriff station in the beginning of season 4. Oh boy, that computer is old.
So we're still going to see Storybrooke.
Yes, this is not the last we've seen of Storybrooke.
Okay,
just because
that was like okay,
yeah, like that's not. It's I mean it is a spoiler, but like I feel like it's a case of like with the stakes and how the show the show works. That's kind of a given. I feel like this many times.
I was like they're gonna have to end back. It's like that's Storybrooke.
I'm not telling you how any of it works.
No, I'll find out.
That is very much a spoiler situation, but it's just there's a lot of stuff that I have to wait until after we see all those episodes. Fair. There's all of that. But with something that I've been asked before about how the curse part works is like with Neal going back, because Neal wasn't part of the curse. So why is he going back? Because the whole point that Regina says is it's as if the curse never happened. That's the whole point of reversing all of this. And Henry being able to escape it because he was born of this land makes perfect sense. That's Henry being our amalgamation for Henry being our avatar for like a real world person is always the thing here. Emma being able to escape it because she's a savior also makes sense. And also it's a little bit of fuzzy writing, but we're not going to leave the 11-year-old to themselves. And that's just not a great way to end this.
But if she's not on that side of the line, then she's not going to go back.
Well, we'll never know is also the case, is if she got stuck in the curse. We just never know. But when it comes with Neal, him returning with the curse makes sense to me because he was part of the intention of it when it was cast. Even though he wasn't a part of it, Rumpel procured it so that Regina would cast it so that he could go out and find his son.
Yeah.
That's how this all works. So he's still kind of woven into the makeup of the curse because he's part of that intention. And as we see a lot of things. A lot of magic is about intent.
Yes, that is magic. Magic is all about intent.
So that's where I go with this. And this is the last thing I'll say about this episode, because remember how I said before that there's some fuzzy logic when it comes to the legality of who is Henry's mother. Now it's very fucking fuzzy. Because technically speaking, if Storybrooke comes back, does that restore the original history? That's always a question that never gets answered.
I don't like this.
Regina wrote memories where she never gave him up. So that means that for a year, that made sense. No, there was no one else on the earthly plane that made any sense. But with that coming back, that makes me wonder what happens to like the memories of the guy from the adoption agency. Does that come back again? So it's just always a little fuzzy because that, everything prior to them driving over the town line is fake. Emma says it won't be real. She's like, but your future will be. So the memories are fake. So really, who is Henry's mother? Legally. I don't know.
I'm done.
I don't know.
Nope, I'm done. I don't know. I'm so done.
And we'll never know.
I don't want this argument.
Like, I'm not arguing that Regina's not his mother.
No,
I'm saying in the eyes of the law.
Ready for that. Like, for it to come back around of like, oh, well, because that's probably one of the reasons a lot of people think, no, well, Emma's definitely. It's,
I will say, it's only a question through season 3.
Okay.
Once we hit season 4, it's done.
Just let him have his mommies.
Yes.
That's all I want.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much to ask.
Apparently.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 6, Episode 13, Wag the Hog, and Episode 14, The Harmoniums. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our Patreon, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.